Now is the moment that I know you all joined the call for because James Zhang is such an incredible leader. And I am just incredibly honored that we get to work with him, that he has chosen Partner Co. as his home. James is our a chairperson. He also is on our Partners Council, and he is one of the most engaged leaders that I know. You'll see him in the chat. He's like our third staff. He's answering questions as quick as you guys drop him in there, and he is such an incredible leader to not only cross-line teams but also on the corporate side as well. So, James, I'm so excited that you agreed to be on the call tonight.
Such an honor, Christine. Hey, Partner Co-fam. If you know me, I like to do a lot of engagement. So give me a big wave or throw a 5 in the chat below. And today we're going to talk about something really juicy, right, Christine?
We are. And James, I am so excited because let me just give you the topic for tonight. The topic is leadership mistakes that cost me millions. James, I have to tell you, one of the things I love most about you and why I'm just so anxious to hear what you have to say tonight is sometimes in this business as well as other businesses, it's really easy to let our ego kind of get the best of us. But I know from you and I in conversations we've had, the most moments of growth and learning that I have had were in the moments that I failed, that I never considered it a failure because I learned from it. And so I find that leaders that are willing to share not just their successes, but maybe where they stumbled, what they would have done differently, how they turned that into a learning lesson. Those are the ones that I cling to as I look for advice and to become more successful. So, James, thank you so much for your humility, for being able to, for being able to open up and be vulnerable and to talk a little bit about what you've learned in your many years in this industry.
Such an honor. Well, hey guys, honored to meet you. If we're meeting for the first time, my name is James Zhang. And first, just shout out to Christine McKay, to Omar Moreno, to Alondra, to Martine, to all of our corporate team. Like, there's so much talk about leadership. Don't we have the most incredible partner support in the world? Without them, we wouldn't have what we have as well too. So I just want to honor every single one of you because I know you fight for us every single day. And if you've ever been involved in another company or even just a corporate experience, what we have here in corporate is just so different. We truly are better together. And it's, I've been praying about this call. I've been thinking about every single one of you because I truly believe that today there's a word that came to mind, and the word is reconciliation. Reconciliation. Type that in the chat. Reconciliation. Maybe it's too long. Just recon works as well too. But by the end of this, I'm going to give you 5 tips and mistakes that I've made that cost me millions. But more importantly, 5 things that'll shift, that'll make you millions too. And the last one is the best. So hang on till the end. And I got a challenge for you as well too. So it's so funny that I'm talking on this topic because I don't know if this relates with anybody, but is anyone, when you hear the word leader, does that scare you a little bit? Like, if you're more on the scared type about leadership, put a 1 in the comments. Or if you are a leader, you know that, put a 10 in the comments, right? Both are fine. But I started the type with being scared. I'll just share a quick story. So I'm like a super nerd. I'm Asian. So I was trying to go down the American dream. So SATs were a big thing. College apps were a very big thing. I remember filling out college applications and they had this question, Christine. And it was, describe a leadership moment in your life. And to be honest, when I saw that question, I blinked out because I never thought of myself as a leader. I'm like, that's for the other people. I am a follower. And what I realized is leadership is definitely something that is learned. So for anybody on this line that's ever felt like I'm not a leader, that is completely false. If this guy can learn it, so can you as well too. And as I got into network marketing, it challenges you. I remember I learned things from John Maxwell, for example. Like, who here's ever heard of the quote that every single organization rises and falls on leadership? Have you heard that before? It's so true, right? Our business, for sure. This business is a compensation plan wrapped around personal growth. So I understood that I had to learn how to become a leader. In fact, that's why I love our profession, because it challenges you to become the best person that God designed you to be. And it rewards you by paying you. Like, how cool is that? So, like Christine said, you learn it mostly through the mistakes. And I would say I've had two major chapters in our career that now we are very blessed to lead, if you can call it leading. I think leadership is more of a partnership and a collaboration, allowing people to become who they were designed to be. So I have an honor to serve an incredible community, and they're just growing like by leaps and bounds. I wake up every day and I'm just like, I can't keep up. My thumbs are getting buff because I can't respond fast enough, type of thing. So many amazing leaders that are here. But I've also had a chapter where I did it all wrong. And what I hope that you learn today is through my mistakes to cut down your time, because who here is on here today because you have goals that you needed to get done yesterday? Put a me in the comments if that's you, right? You want to retire your spouse. You want to be able to retire yourself. You want to travel the world. You want to give the life to your kids and their kids' kids and give back. And you just can't wait. So I hope that this can cut your time down. So I hope you're ready for some notes, all right? And this is where I learned it wrong. The first part of my business, we were able to grow a successful multiple six-figure business. We got the trophies, we got the title, we got the cool life and everything. And it was great until it wasn't. And a situation happened where within a year, 90+% of our leaders of our organization left. And I remember getting to the end of that year. It was one of those hell years. Have you guys been through that before? Where it made me doubt everything. My business, life, everything. And I remember being so traumatized and hurt, thinking, what did I do wrong? How did this happen? And it's in those moments where you get extreme clarity. And I made a commitment that the next time we do this, because we have a beautiful business, but you have to do it right with principles. Here's 5 things that I shifted. So if you're ready for this, put a 5 in the comments one more time. And here we go. All right. Number 1, the mistake of being me focused, but shifting it to you focus. Intentions matter, don't they? Women, have you ever had somebody, your hubby, your spouse, you're asking them, hey, how's your day? And you're like, fine, right? The words don't mean much, but it's the intention behind it, right? They matter. You can tell when intentions are off. So you cannot hide the funk in your intentions for this business. For leadership, people can tell when you're only focused on elevating yourself rather than serving them. Who here's ever been in a scenario? Now we're not going to call anyone out here. Let's be real here. We're going to go raw today. So let's all be transparent and open and just take it for ourselves. Don't take this as like a blame thing, like, oh, my upline didn't do this, my cross line didn't do this. No. Just awareness for ourselves, right? If you're in agreement with that, put I agree. All right. Don't take this and be like, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. This is a self-leadership, a self-reflection. Okay. Awesome. I just want to make sure we're good on that. So it's very, very, there's times when you work with somebody and you're like, I hear their words, they're saying the right things, but something about them is off. And I feel like they're just trying to do things to elevate themselves rather than help me. Intentions matter. And when I first got into this business, I'll be very real with you. You know what I wanted? I wanted the stage. I wanted recognition. I wanted the spotlight on me because I grew up a shy kid and I never got attention. And I was never the popular kid. And there's nothing wrong about recognition, but it's when it's wrongly prioritized, when it's all about your recognition, but not your people's recognition. And even if you're helping your people get promoted, I'm just being real. I want to promote people because I look good. Because everyone's gonna be like, hey, go look at James, look at what he does. I'm like, oh, thank you. That doesn't work well. I want us to do a heart check today and think to yourself, why do you truly want to get promoted? Why do you truly do this business? It's okay to have selfish ambition, but don't stop there. There's a saying that Zig Ziglar says, which is if you help enough people get what they want, you can get everything that you want. So think today. Some of us need a pivot. Well, some people might think, well, James, you don't know my situation. I need to make money right now. It's really tough. It's really scarce. We can break that right now. There is no shortage of opportunity in our world, by the way, but it all starts in the mind. And when you shift to go from me to you, how can I help you? Everything starts to change for you. You'll notice your influence changes. Here's a quick question to check. When you're conversing with somebody, what percentage of the time are you talking versus they talk? Think about that. You don't have to put in the chat, but what is the percentage? Think about today. Your conversation with your prospect, your conversation with your family, your conversation with your partners. How much percentage was you talking versus them? You know what I aim to do? 20% me, 80% them. Pam, how are you? Really? And I'm deeply, genuinely interested in you. If that makes sense so far, put a 1 in the comments. There's point number 1. Me to you. Number 2, shifting from being profit focused to people focused. Profit focused to people focused. Now, it's important as a business that we have a bottom line. It's important that we're metric focused. It's important that we monitor the numbers. Sometimes we're way too much in la la land and saying, hey, we're just having a lot of fun. Activity does not equal productivity, by the way, right? Showing up in this call, congratulations, but that's not all there is to it, right? So we are building a business. Who here is here? And if you're not in community group, but who here actually wants to build a major business that can impact your family, right? Put a me in the comments if that's your goal. If it's not, that's okay too, by the way, right? Just know where you're at. Some people join for the community. I did in the beginning. But if you're here for a serious business, we need to make a profit, right? Your Friday paycheck, Coach Roland says this all the time. Your Friday paycheck is your best reflection, right? That's your scoreboard. Okay. So we have to be business minded. We have to be business focused. But at the same time, there's a priority shift that needs to happen. If you build the people build the business. We're in a business that when you love people well and you help them well, then there's a reward with profit. There are principles in place in this world that if you serve people well with our amazing products, you help them well with helping them in their business, you help them transform their life, there is a repayment for that. But think to yourself, what am I actually looking to do? What am I actually focused on? Let me give a very practical example. I remember when my first part of leadership, I was not really emotionally connected with people. I'm the type of person, I'm like a workhorse. Is anyone else like a workhorse like me? Like you can just turn it on. You're obsessed. And I remember I would just be solving problems, presentation. Like, come on, let's go. That riles me up. And I remember there was a situation that happened one time, and I was helping my team and serving them. And I had 2 of my leaders come up to me. And I want you to imagine this position, right? 2 of my leaders come up to me afterwards. They're like, James, we love you, but we don't like you. I'm like, what do you mean by that? He's like, James, I feel like you're so cold. I feel like you never connect with me. I feel like you're just business. You don't care about me. And I'm like, wow. Maya Angelou said this. She said that people will forget what you did or what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So here's a question. Think today. Did people that you connected with leave with a problem solved? That's big on business, but also leave feeling better about themselves. Not better about you, better about themselves. Did they feel like, wow, I just feel like I can run through a brick wall right now? Always aim to do that. All right. If you're still with me, put a 2 in the comments. Put a 2 in the comments. Okay. Quick note on that, by the way. How do you treat people that are not in your pay line? Ooh. Do you have the same standards as those that quote unquote don't pay you? How about your cross line? I love what Coach Palmer says. Blur the line of sponsorship. That's why Coach Palmer is ranked #2 in the world, by the way. Abundance mindset. How to throw that in. Okay, number three. Number three, shifting from management mode to leadership. Management from leadership. I struggle so much with this. You start your team, you get your customers. You're like, I got my tribe. And then you're like, I'm going to help them. I'm going to like work with them. We're going to bring them to the finish line. You wake up, you're like, guys, get up. You're like, all right, did you make your post? Did you make your call? Did you set up your drop talk? Are we going? Come on, let's go. And you end up pouring a lot of energy into people where many times they end up not needing that at that moment, and it overwhelms them. And I noticed for myself that it put me in a desperate position where people stopped talking to me because they felt pressured. Who here's ever felt pressured before in a sales environment, right? It's a scarcity mindset. People say, well, I'm so busy, James, with my 2 teammates. Well, how about who here would love an organization with thousands of people in your organization, right? Like you would love thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. There are leaders on this line with that. So here's a question, friendly question. If we struggle managing 2 people, 10 people, 50 people, how are we ever going to quote unquote manage thousands? And here's the answer. You can't manage people. You can only lead yourself. So one thing that I realized, and I got this from Tim Sales, master distributor. I was in a pickle. I was trying to relaunch my business after that first failure. And I was just like, Tim, how do I do this? I feel like I'm trying to help my team. And, man, they're not moving. He's like, go lead yourself. I'm like, what? How do I do that? He said, go recruit like 20 people. 20 people? That's hard. He's like, it's not hard. Just go do it. Really? Here's the truth. You know why personal leadership is hard? Because it takes us doing it ourselves. I'd rather not. I'd rather sit there and make announcements all day. I'd rather sit there and help my team. I'd rather be there and, be there for people. But that's not leadership, guys. And I realize that. So here's a real question. Here's a real question. In the last month, how many personal enrollments of customers and partners have you done? How many? You don't have to put in the chat. Just kind of jot this down. Rebecca said 4. Come on. I love that transparency. Brandy, I love Brandy's answer. She is honest. She said 0. I love it. Awareness brings breakthrough. Come on. That's the best answer. And superstars in the chat. Come on. I don't care about what you did years ago. I don't care about what you did when you first got started. No one cares. All your newest people care about is who you are right now and who you're becoming. They don't care about the past. So I'm challenging myself every single day. And I think, how many can I do? I think I've enrolled, I don't know, at least 10 customers and 4 partners in the last couple of weeks, personally, still every day, like still doing the personal pipeline. Are you prioritizing that? All right. Management versus leadership. Okay. You still with me? Are we okay? Are we okay? Yeah, put I'm with you, James, if you're still with me. I hope I see breakthrough coming. I see reconciliation coming. Remember, the last one's going to be the best. Number 4. So proud of you. There's no condemnation, by the way. There's no shame. There's no guilt in this. It's awareness. It's stepping on the scale day, right? It's like, when you get your drops, you're like, oh, I don't want to take my picture. Hey, the before is important because the after is going to be so much better. Okay, number 4. Oh, man, we're getting juicy now. Trading your expectation for appreciation. Oh, baby. This was so hard. I remember my leaders leaving. These are close friends. They were at my wedding. I baptized some of them. I know their families. We've spent years together, and they left. How do you feel in those situations? I remember for a long time I was thinking, how could they? Don't they know what I've done? These types of feelings. Shouldn't they, ... blah, blah, blah. Who here's ever experienced that before? Big or small? What I realized is this opened up a part in my heart that holds back your breakthrough. And I realized that this business is a volunteer army. No one needs to join your business. John Maxwell said this, I think. He said, a leader with no followers is simply taking a walk. It's a volunteer staff. Everyone's their own independent. You don't hire them. You don't fire them. So if you see that your people aren't following you, then there's things that we can do, right? So how do we turn this around? And I realized I was putting in too much expectation on people. I'm like, we spent so much time. You should be better than this. Why are you asking this question again? I can't believe you're not performing. Why aren't you going to PXP? Like, all these things start to come up. You're like, come on. But I shifted and I realized it was out of extreme gratitude. Who here is grateful that your people said yes to you at least once? They bought a product from you. They partnered with you. You do know that paid you, by the way, right? Like they did something and they chose to say yes at some point in time, but they got stuff going on. And I started to realize, I'm like, I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful they actually said yes. Don't I remember when it was so hard to get one yes? And I realized that they're not here for me. I'm here for them. They're here for their own goals. They can do what they want to do. They're seasons. And I know it's tough because we wish everything's going to be together. But sometimes you have to let go in order for the better to flow in. So trading your expectation versus appreciation. And when I realized that truth, I started to look at my team so different. I started looking at people so different. I said, I'm so thankful. Like I'm on this call right now. There's like almost 300 people. You're listening to me? What? I am so grateful for you. I remember when I would do a Facebook Live and it would only be myself listening to myself. How grateful. How amazing. How amazing. I do a team call. There's 2 people. Wow. Who here has people in mind already that you can be legitimately grateful for? You can appreciate for. Hey, they're still on this journey, right? People need that more than ever. It is so important. I say that gratitude is God's frequency. It attracts miracles in your life. True gratitude, true appreciation. Here's some questions. Do you give without expectation in return? Because a gift has no expectation in return. When you're spending time, are you counting down the minutes and saying, all right, I hope this pays me? Or are you just giving because of giving's sake? Are you expressing gratitude? When was the last time you expressed gratitude to your team? You expressed gratitude to your coaches. You express gratitude to corporate. One of the biggest things that I do is anytime I'm on the phone with corporate and especially partner support, I always express gratitude. Because who here knows that's one of the hardest jobs in the world? They have to not just do customer service, they have to know our comp plan. Who here, by the way, gets confused with a comp plan still? So imagine partner support that doesn't own their own business, but they have to actually know comp plan questions too. Wow, dang. Like oh my goodness. So I'm always making sure I'm like, thank you, Omar. You're spending extra overtime. Thank you, Christine. This is 7:37 p.m. at night for you. A crazy day of corporate stuff, and you house this for us. It's so important that we continue to share this type of gratitude around. All right. Put a 4 in the chat if you're still with me. We'll go to the final one. Final one. This is the biggie. This is the biggest challenge. This is the biggest make it or break it thing. This is the hardest thing that I had to overcome. And this will make you the difference of an average leader versus a spectacular one. And I believe this will change the world. You ready for it? What a buildup, right? Going from being offended to giving honor. Offense to honor. We are in a world right now, just go on social media, where everyone's triggered so easily. Anything you say that you take a stand on, you get triggered. There's someone that's going to hate you. There's someone that's going to love you. We're in a place that it's so easily to get offended, especially now because a lot of our business is through phone. There's a lot of tonality that is not carried through a message. Who here has ever read a text message and you read it wrong and you're like, oh, I can't believe they said that. And then you get on the phone and you're like, wow, I didn't mean that at all. Right? I do it to my wife all the time, by the way. And my best teacher, my best coach is my wife, Becky. Shout out to my better 3/4. Offense versus honor. It's so big. But there's an incredible preacher, John Bevere. He wrote a book called The Bait of Satan. And one of the biggest lies and deceptions that happen in our world right now, especially in our business, that hold us back, is when we let offense creep in our heart. Because what happens is when you let offense trigger us, trigger you, it puts a barrier and a filter now on this other relationship. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy, to divide. So if you can have you look at someone else and say, they're out to get me, they're out to harm me, they don't like me, look at what they did. Ultimately, there is no influence. There is no authority. There's another saying that you cannot have authority over that which you do not love. Who here wants more authority? Who here wants more leadership? Put me in the comments if that's the case. It's impossible to have authority. It's impossible to have influence if you don't have genuine, legitimate love. And love is not an action. Love starts from the heart. You can say the right things. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Hubby comes in. I love you. You're like, what did you say? What? It doesn't work that way. It starts from the heart. We have to have a heart check. Out of the heart flows all matters of life, right? So it's so important that we're able to address the offense. So I want us to think about this, and this is so challenging for me because we all have hurts, we all have hangups. We all want to feel justified for something. Gosh, you should see the conversations I've had with my mentors, my coaches. There was some tough stuff. I'm like, did they just say that really? And sometimes it was malintended as well too, right? But it's so important because we cannot control how other people are. We can only choose how we respond. And it's so unfortunate because if offense lies in your heart, there's a permanent barrier. It leads to unforgiveness and it leads to lack of blessing in your business. Who here wants more blessing in your business, right? In your team and your influence. So I'm always constantly doing a heart check because the more you deal with people, the more offended you're going to be. This business is beautiful. You want a residual compounding exponential business. It looks pretty on paper and then it gets ugly when you put people in it because we're all messed up. Have you realized that already? We all fall short. We all mess up. Ask my wife. She'll give you a long list of everything I messed up on every single day. Right? So you look at that and we have to guard your heart. Because if you want to have a major organization, it means you're going to get majorly, potentially offended. So think, some questions. Where do you get triggered? Where do you get triggered? Is it someone ghosting you? Oh my God, my prospect didn't get back to me. Question on this. If you want to have hundreds and thousands of customers coming in every single day, how many people do you think are going to ghost you, are going to not respond? All right, how many people do you think Amazon gets ghosted by every single day, and yet they're making trillions of dollars? So ghosting, does that trigger you? How about a message that is not verbalized with the best way? Does that trigger you? Oh, they didn't say this at the end. They didn't give me that emoji. Like, oh, so it's amazing the little things that we all get triggered by, right? And there's some serious things to get triggered by. You know what I get triggered by? Injustice. I get triggered by character attacks that are unfounded. And it's okay to be righteously like angry and frustrated, but we have to be careful because so many times this offense can lead us away from the field, right? Jim Rohn said, if you chase the birds, you leave the field. So have to be careful not to run off. Where you're triggered by is also, I want to flip this paradigm. This is where I want us to look into because there's some healing that needs to happen. And how do you heal? In the biggest triggers. Here's the solution. Here's what unlocks blessing. Honor. What's honor? Honor is being able to view people, for me, in my perspective, how God views people. It's not based on what they did or what they didn't do. That's conditional. My upline treated me horribly. They don't deserve it. Guys, my upline ditched me 10 years ago for a girlfriend in Canada. I don't know where he went. I love the guy. He doesn't talk to me, but I still love him. I've been deeply hurt by other mentors. I've had a mentor steal lines of business from us. I've had people say very hurtful things. I've had teams leave. But to honor releases this ability to have blessing once again. So you don't honor or condone the thing that happened. You honor them and say, I'm just releasing forgiveness. You know, here's a saying that I've realized: hurt people hurt people. You know what I see now when people say weird things to me? Like, man, before I was triggered. You know what I do now? Here's a flip. There must be something happening in their life, which is why they respond that way. Something horrible must have happened. I wonder what it is. I pray for them. Like, my heart breaks when I see people lash out. My heart breaks when I see people respond in a way that is hurtful. They don't want to hurt, but it's because it's an outflowing of the heart. My gosh, what happened to you? Tell me your story. Refuse to be offended and honor that person. And when you start seeing people and treating them in a different way, it unlocks blessing and influence like none other. Huge. All right. Let me give you a challenge and let me give you a directive. This is gonna be hard. Yeah. Who here's willing to do some hard things? Give me a wave or put a 10 in the comments, right? Hard things, hard things. I'm gonna ask us to go here. Think of somebody in your business or your life. They've held a grudge. You've had lack of forgiveness. There's a feeling you have, however big or however small. And today I challenge you to release forgiveness, to release grace, to just say, I'm sorry. I release this right now. It's how you get the enemy's grips off your heart. And the moment you do that, you're going to see everything start to flood through. It doesn't mean you have to associate with them. And it might not even be you talking to them, but in your prayers to yourself, or maybe it's to them. It'll change everything. Let me end with a quick story, Christine. So we lost our first business, felt devastated. Our leaders left. All types of weird feelings. Like, why did they leave? And we started to build back up, and we're hustling, we're doing our thing. I remember I felt convicted one day, and I said, I traded expectation for appreciation, right? And I sent a heartfelt message to the leaders that we've known before, and they didn't talk to us anymore. I just sent a message, and here was my message. I said, Bob, I know that we had great times together. I know we've been in business together before. And I know business seasons change, but relationships are what remain. And I'm just so thankful and grateful that you were in my life. If there's anything I did to ever hurt you, I just want to say I'm sorry. But I love you as a friend, and I'm here for you for anything. I sent that to all of our closest leaders. And I felt amazing. It took a little bit, but they actually responded back. And around a month ago, I saw one of my mentors get married. Two of our former leaders came to this marriage. We're at the same table together. I'm starting to tear up because all these great memories together. I watch these guys grow up. We're at the same table together, laughing together and just talking about old times. I'm like, this is what this business is about. It's about building family. It's about building relationships. I'm like, I'm so thankful. I'm so honored. Like, I'm so grateful. Like, that's where the legacy is in our business. And now we're still for good friends. And now we have amazing relationships. And, we have another season with other people that we're partnered with. So 5 points, shifts. Me focus to you focus. Profits to people. management to leadership, expectation to appreciation, offense to honor. If we do this collectively as a partner Go family, there is no reason why our company cannot be the #1 company in the world and why your business cannot thrive. People need what you have right now, both in the company and the products, but with your leadership. Thank you. Christine, back to you.
Wow, James, there were so many golden nuggets. I know I'm going to actually go back and re-listen to a few parts because I was trying to jot down the nuggets as they were coming. James, we are so incredibly blessed to have you and Becky as leaders. And one thing that you guys do is lead with gratitude. And as leaders, you guys all, I don't know if you know this, but you leave a little thumbprint identity on all of your teams. And almost all of us can tell when somebody comes to us whose team they're on. And it's nothing bad. It's just their mannerisms. It's the questions they ask. We can almost always identify like which team it is. And I will say your team is so incredibly grateful. They're always coming in gratitude, and we are just so blessed to have you. And I know that you have just filled the hearts of the people in the chat. I think many of us heard something tonight on this call that we needed to hear. I know I did. There were some pretty profound things. And James, I'm glad you recapped them at the end because I was writing them down because you're my recapper on every call. You're always really good to recap them and put them in the chat. And so I was like trying to make sure I did it. James, thank you so much for sharing with us. And for those of you in the chat, give James and Becky some more love. We are just honored and grateful to have you with us. And, as I was listening to you talk, I couldn't help but think of a quote that I've heard, and I wish that I could give the author, but it is that, leaders don't just create followers, they create other leaders. And I see you and Becky do that with your business from day one, is to mentor them and give them the confidence to become leaders. And we are so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for everyone in the chat. We appreciate you. We love you. If this was your first time, we hope we see you back here next Monday. And everybody, have a good night. Thank you.